squirrely there. That's a little more boost. Hi, my name is James from RSPDMV. We're the builders of the world's fastest Trackhawk and the fastest Jeep ever built. 50 million Jeeps produced in their lifetime. This is the fastest one. The world's fastest Trackhawk is built on a 2021 Trackhawk chassis. We ended up ripping out every piece of wiring, anything that was OEM. We rewired the car ourselves using a PDM. It's built so it can still go on drag and drives. It still has blinkers, horns, high beams, low beams, brake lights. Literally tried to remove every ounce of extra weight that wasn't needed that we could. Truck still weighs 4,800 pounds, 4,860 with me in it. It runs a Holley Dominator. It runs a Rossler 4L80. Wanted to keep overdrive, so we had the ability to drag and drive it. That was the idea at first. Now that it's aluminum rod, I don't think we can do that anymore. But the owner, Gary, always keeps floor mats in it that have the G-Hawk on it, no matter what. He's got freshies on deck. What makes this truck so special is up here. This is the Model Works Hemi intake air to water. We run Apex 83, 85 turbos, twin. We run a dart block spec'd by Demon at TKM. It's aluminum rod, Thytech heads. Skip spec'd the cam for us, the 441 TT. It's probably the best turbo cam for a Gen 3 Hemi, proven by the results of our trucks and the power levels we've been putting out. Nothing really comes close. I don't care about any allegiance to anything but going fast. And if anything's there to help our company go fast, that's what we're using. And if there isn't something there, we'll build it. If you can see here, this is really the centerpiece of every turbo truck is our forward-facing turbo headers. We actually built these in CAD. We scanned the whole engine bay and we 3D printed them, so many copies till we got them to fit perfect. And that's what allows us to do our turbo setups in the engine bay or the bumper. That's a real leg up on the competition. Nobody has these, and it shows with our trucks performing at a different level. We have EGT bulkheads, so everything's able to be worked on and removed easily without having to like reinvent the wheel. We redid our own engine harness in-house, mil-spec wiring. Not only do we make the intake manifolds, we made valve covers to deal with blow-by issue that we had when we first started the platform. Like every problem we ran into when making these trucks fast, we solved by making our own parts, and allowed us to push to the power, the performance levels that nobody else is going. People are catching up now, but they're in our wake. You know what I mean? We're the ones breaking the waves and setting the path. Kind of unique with what we do versus the other Hawks that are pushing for the record. We actually still run a stock brake setup. Being so heavy, brakes were one thing that we didn't want to sacrifice for performance. So we always keep stock size brakes. We actually have a carbon fiber, carbon ceramic rotor that we run in the front of some of our other trucks. This one just doesn't have it. But this is a Pro Bracket radial in the rear, Hoosier DBR in the front. This actually has a Ford 9-inch rear that we thought was unbreakable to our last track day, and we ended up shearing the pinion. One thing about this truck, it is super unforgiving, and it will find what's weak, I promise you. Another thing people always get tripped out about is the parachutes. They say, oh, the parachutes are mounted to glass. How did you mount the parachutes to glass? It's actually, if you see here, these are launchers, and this is full carbon fiber. This was the first carbon fiber hatch ever made for the Jeep platform. It was actually on Pash's truck that went 847, and when he turned it back to stock, we went and grabbed his doors and the hatch for this thing. You can't tell, but yeah, this isn't window. It's all carbon fiber. If you look in from the back, you can really see it. Back there, you'll see our fuel tank setup and ice tank. Neil Chance Racing Converters hooked us up and sponsored us after Texas 2K with the billet bolt together torque converter. We were having problems with the new turbos 60ing like we had used to, And the new Neil Chance converter is just a game changer. We basically, first time out, we were back into the 1.2 60 foots, no problem. You know, right now the record's only posted at a 780. We're waiting for our guys to catch up to us so we can break their hearts again. We got a couple faster slips in our pocket. We're leaving it out there for them to come get us. So this has undisclosed turbos. The only thing I can disclose is it has Model Works intake and turbo manifold, and also runs a Dart-based Gen 3 Hemi block. This is our street racing truck, no time. So we don't really talk about everything. I could say, you know, around 30 pounds of boost, I'll make like 2,000 wheel. That was low boost. That wasn't even, that was probably like 10 pounds of boost there.
That's crazy.
Yeah. Still low boost. Got a little squirrely there. That's a little more boost. This is like a real world-class level of performance. Like, to the guy looking for his, you know, big, like, you know, 1,700 horsepower GTR. What this gives you that those don't is this is like a smooth ride. It has a torque converter. Yeah, so like you're in it and it's enjoyable. One thing I see a lot is like the F-150s, for instance, that like is like, I guess, our main competition. Not in price point because these are like more expensive vehicles, but like in performance, they'll go like a, you know, like a high 361 330, where like my big stage 3 Jeeps, like I posted today even, they're going mid threes with interior in them. As you can see, this isn't some like full race truck. We just have the seats out the back. The only thing you'll really have an issue with at this power level is at the track, and we're trying to hit it hard, we'll break like an axle, you know what I mean, and things like that. But the way to fix that is you just lighten the trucks up, and the lighter you get them, the less driveline parts you break. When I started getting my own cars and having my own money to modify cars, I started with the Mercedes platform. That's what interested me the most. It was the E55. That was my first like big performance car. We pushed that platform really hard. And then I ended up getting an E63 and I put a Whipple on it. And I ended up setting the world record for that platform. I had the world's fastest S65 after that. You know, and I was just doing my thing. I always got a car and it was always the goal to make it the fastest one in the world. It was during COVID. Everybody was meeting up in parking lots, roll racing. My C63 at the time with big turbos was spanking everybody. And I had an E63, the all-wheel drive version that I was dig racing with. And I'd won a couple races and it was really starting to get some traction. And on my way home from the races, I hit a deer. The insurance ended up paying me out like $104,000 on it. And I was looking at what to get next. I was gonna naturally get another E63, but there was a gentleman around with a white Trackhawk that was really dominating out the streets. And like, when I saw what he was doing, I said, that's what I wanna do. So the Trackhawk was like a $20,000 discount over the E63. Picked up a 2018 Trackhawk. The journey began again to make the world's fastest vehicle of whatever platform I was dealing with. Now I had something that was faster for street racing so I could go after more people. We were undefeated 8 races. I kept making the truck faster after every race. We kept adding mods, not telling anybody, kept winning. And then we started traveling around. I went to New York. I raced this guy named No Hezi, who at the time wasn't that big and I wasn't that big. I actually lost that race. And that, like, I feel like if I didn't lose that race, it wouldn't have drove me to get even to this point. I would have just been so satisfied. But like, losing street races is a big part of what pushes us to get faster. I know it sounds crazy, but the competition of going out there and being the fastest in the parking lot is what really drives us to like succeed and push. So one of our biggest street races I feel like that we've had since the company started was, it was Texas 2K 2024. I was there with One Stock, who's like, it was our right-hand man. We missed him dearly. We got a race with this guy from California. I think his name was Yellow Jacket. He had like the fastest 23 or 24 F-150 on the West Coast. So it's the fastest guy, you know, with the late model on the West Coast, first the East Coast. I actually launched it and there was so much commotion, I didn't have the truck in track mode. So when I launched, it spun and it short shifted. Then I slapped it over to manual mode. So when you see it in the video, he jumps out on me and then the Trackhawk starts like grabbing. Everybody was saying we were spraying nitrous and all this stuff, which was bullshit. We were always blower only on that. You know, that was a big deal. That race, I think from that race alone, I ended up gaining like 8 or 9,000 followers on Instagram. It was like one of the single biggest like races and feedback and attention on social media that we ever had. I feel like since then, we road raced this guy, Murado. He's like the fastest Mustang on the street down in Texas with our twin turbo Hawk. Me and One Stock raced them. I remember we went to the parking lot and we were like, who's the fastest here? They're like, oh, you guys are only fast on the internet, this and that. And then we came back to the parking lot and they were like, yeah, he won. Me and One Stock won. It's like kind of like where the legend really started growing out of this DMV area and the country started to find out who we were. It kind of makes it tough for our customers too, because we can't get any races. So since 2023, when we set the world record with the Whipple Trackhawk, Trackhawk, we actually rebroke our record 5 different times with 5 separate other trucks. After we did the 858 with Trackhawk, there's a gentleman in Kentucky with a twin turbo truck that I was doing all the tuning on. We ended up going 847 with his, that was Pasha's truck. And then I was flown to the Dominican Republic to deal with a guy named Hector Zayas. And we got his truck down into the 843. That was with a Whipple and nitrous. We ended up getting beat by the local guy here, Adam. He went 828. And then Trackhawk, we switched over to turbos. He went 8-1, and then G-Hawk came behind him with the 794. That was the first pass in the 7s. That was in, I think, early October of last year. We went 794. We were really happy with that, but we wanted more. We knew there was more. So when we went to Texas, we didn't make really much changes before we went to Texas, but for whatever reason, about a month beforehand, we had just came home from the dyno. Me and the boys were all in the office with Gary. We made 2250 wheel with the other setup. And for whatever reason, we're all sitting around and we're like, we're not satisfied. We're like 2250, it's a big number, but it's not enough. I'm real close with about a bunch of the fastest Honda guys in the world. So my buddy Naplex and Los, they run a single one of these on their Hondas. And Los just went 205 in the quarter mile. So naturally, we took one spare turbo from Los, one spare turbo from Napa, threw away 2 weeks of our lives, and we lived in the shop nonstop, and we rebuilt this setup. And first time to the dyno, we made about 150 more horsepower in the same exact boost. That was like, I think it was about 40 pounds. It made 2,406 horsepower. We actually set the record at Texas 2K in front of everybody. That was like a really cool moment for the owner and for me. I was driving it. When we went 490, we were probably at like 42 PSI. We're planning on pushing it to 50 pounds, but we got to make sure everything can live. The motor's been solved, the trans is solved. It runs a Rossler 4L80. It's the kind of transmission that you'd put behind a Steve Morris engine, makes 4,000 horsepower. It's been a bear at this power level to make this thing work reliably. Like the engine, transmission, no problem. Front and rear diffs, big problem. Axles, big problem. So we've been fighting it. I mean, it's still super heavy. A lot of people think it's super lightweight with how gutted it is, but it's still 4,860 pounds with me in it. It's the heaviest vehicle going this fast in the world. I can pretty much stand on that. There's nothing at the 5,000 mark going mid-sevens. We're gonna keep pushing. We're gonna try to get some weight out of it to help the driveline live, but we're not done. The goal now is 6s. Gary, the owner of this truck's insane, so it's just never gonna stop. When we started doing the turbo builds for the Trackhawk, there wasn't an intake manifold or a header setup that fit what we were trying to do within performance and horsepower operating level. When we started this, we thought 2,000 horsepower was gonna be the goal. Then it was 2,500. Now this one's making 3,000 horsepower. We started pushing past the parts that were available to support the power we wanted, that we knew we could make to do what we needed to do. So we ended up designing literally our own intake manifold from scratch. Me and my buddy Christian at Model Works, it's like my right-hand man. Every idea, everything we do that makes these trucks perform at the level they do, we created from nothing. The forward-facing turbo headers, the intake manifolds, that's something that really sets us apart with our competition, is a lot of people are just grabbing parts that are off the shelf and making setups work, where we're literally CFD modeling from the ground up in CAD and everything to make sure our performance is gonna be there. And it's obviously proven by being the fastest in the world, time and time again, all our setups. So one thing people don't understand about RSP is, we build a ton of trucks, but RSP is literally just me, my master tech, and our fabricator. It's the three of us, and there's something that people have to understand. We tune, build, and fabricate in-house. And the advantage for the customer of that is there's nobody for us to point a finger at for failure. If we're tuning it, building it, and fabricating it, it's something that we own in entirety in our shop. So we're able to give like the best product to a customer. That was something that before I started my shop, I always rang with me because I've been through it dealing with shops, and that's something I wanted to eradicate and not do here. And you know, it's been 4 years in, and you know, we got our own fab guy, got my own master tech, and I do the tuning. So we're able to deliver that for our customers. This setup's not done. We have big aspirations for where this can get to. This is the fastest Jeep ever built, and it plans on staying that way for a long time.